Under the sands of Egypt, hidden for thousands of years, lies a world beneath the world. Not just human tombs, but something stranger. Millions upon millions of animals, wrapped in linen, sealed in pottery, buried in tunnels that stretch for miles. Cats, dogs, birds, crocodiles, even beetles, all mummified, all waiting. For centuries, travelers and tomb robbers knew about these animal tunnels, but no one understood their scale. In 2015, archaeologists mapping the Catacombs of Anubis in Saqqara made a discovery that shocked even them. 8 million mummified animals, mostly dogs and puppies, stacked in galleries. 8 million in one place. Across Egypt, the numbers are staggering. 70 million animal mummies estimated in total. In Tuna, el-Gebel, 4 million ibises. In the Serapeum of Saqqara, massive granite sarcophagi weighing 80 tons each for bulls. Not just any bulls. Apis bulls, chosen by markings, worshipped as gods, buried like pharaohs. The ancient Greeks and Romans mocked Egypt for this. Mad Egypt, they called it, worshipping beasts. They didn't understand. For Egyptians, animals were not pets. They were bridges, living links between humans and gods. A cat wasn't just a cat, it was Bastet. A falcon wasn't just a bird, it was Horus. An ibis carried the soul of Thoth. A pilgrim would walk for days to reach a temple. They would buy a mummified animal, a cat for Bastet, an ibis for Thoth. The priest would perform the ritual. The animal would carry their prayer to the gods. Cure my sickness. Grant me a son. Forgive my sins. Millions of prayers, millions of lives, all ending in darkness. Today, scientists use CT scanners and DNA analysis to look inside these bundles. They find fractures, diseases, starvation. They find newborns killed hours after birth. They find fakes, bundles of cloth with nothing inside, sold to pilgrims who never knew. Millions of animals, millions of secrets. Someone stands at the entrance of the catacombs, looking into the darkness, wondering, what were we really praying for? This wasn't a few people mummifying their pets. This was an industry. Between 700 BC and 300 AD, Egyptians mummified up to 70 million animals. 70 million. To understand that number, imagine every person in the United Kingdom wrapped in linen and buried in the sand. That's how many lives were offered to the gods. Every major temple had its own sacred animal. In Bubastis, it was cats for the goddess Bastet. In Tuna el-Gebel, 4 million ibises for Thoth. In Umbu, crocodiles for Sobek. And in Saqqara, under the temple of Anubis, 8 million dogs and puppies. Each animal bred, killed, and wrapped for a single purpose, to carry a prayer. This was a pilgrimage economy. People traveled for days to reach these temples. They would buy a mummified animal at the gate, like buying a candle in a cathedral today. The priests performed the ritual. The animal carried their prayer to the gods. Cure my sickness. Grant me a son. Forgive my sins. Millions of prayers, sealed in linen. But here's the problem. Demand was too high. The priests couldn't keep up. So they did something that would shock any pilgrim who found out. They began to cheat. Papyrus from 150 BC describes a scandal. Priests dividing one ibis into several bundles, selling each as a complete offering. 1 bird, 3 prayers. Nobody knew. Modern technology revealed the truth. When researchers scanned 800 animal mummies, they found that only 1/3 contained complete skeletons. 1/3 had only a few bones, a wing, a skull, a handful of fragments. And the last third? Empty. Just sticks, mud, and linen shaped like an animal. Beautiful on the outside, hollow within. Was this fraud? Not exactly, say some scholars. Perhaps the materials inside, The sticks, the mud, the eggs were sacred too. They had touched the animal. They had been near the god. To a believer, maybe that was enough. But one thing is certain. Millions of animals died. Millions of prayers were offered. And somewhere in the darkness, the gods never answered. The demand was staggering. Millions of animals, all destined for the gods. Where did they come from? Some were bred in captivity, right at the temples. Archaeologists have found remains of animals at every stage of life. Newborns, juveniles, adults. These were not wild creatures. They were raised to die. Others were hunted in the wild. The marshes of the Nile teemed with life. Ibises by the millions, birds of prey, even crocodiles. Entire villages made their living catching animals for the temples. But this wasn't sustainable. If every pilgrim demanded a real animal, the wild populations would have collapsed. Professor Salima Ikram, one of the world's leading experts on animal mummies, offers a provocative idea. The real ones were very expensive and hard to come by, she explains. If you wanted to make an offering, you could use a fake, and magically, it became real. The form was enough. This wasn't fraud, she suggests. It was survival. Without this practice, the baboons and ibises might have been hunted to extinction. So what mattered more, the animal or the faith? For the ancient Egyptians, the line was blurred. A rich man could buy a real baboon, imported at great cost from distant lands. A poor farmer could buy a bundle of mud shaped like one. In the eyes of the gods, perhaps both prayers were heard. The price didn't determine the miracle. Today, ibises still fly over the Nile. Baboons still live in the highlands of Ethiopia and Somalia. The species survived, not in spite of the ancient practice, but perhaps because of it. The demand for real animals was so high that without the fakes, they might have vanished forever. The priests, knowingly or not, became their protectors. In 2019, archaeologists made a discovery that shocked even them. In Saqqara, in the necropolis of the sacred cat Bastet, they found something never seen before. Mummified scarabs. Over 200 small beetles in one sarcophagus, and 2 large ones in another. For the first time, we saw that the Egyptians didn't just mummify cats and birds. They mummified the sacred beetle itself. Why a beetle? The ancient Egyptians saw the scarab roll its ball of dung across the sand, and they saw the sun rolling across the sky. The beetle became Khepri, the god of the rising sun, a symbol of rebirth, renewal, the eternal cycle. To mummify a scarab was to carry that hope into the afterlife. The sun dies every night, and every morning it is reborn. Today, scarabs still live in Egypt. They roll their balls of dung across the same sand where the priests once walked. The species survived, not in spite of the ancient practice, but perhaps because of it. The Egyptians didn't just kill animals. They honored them, preserved them, made them eternal. And in doing so, they ensured that the living ones would never be forgotten. Someone stands at the edge of the desert. In his hand, a small bundle, a scarab, wrapped in linen thousands of years ago. Around him, the sun rises. The same sun that Khepri rolled across the sky. The same sun that the priests prayed to. The same sun that still shines on the living scarabs, still rolling their balls across the sand. What dies? What lives? What is reborn? The question hangs in the air. The sun does not answer. It only rises.